You might think that having the wealth to buy a $50 million home would guarantee peace. Instead, it buys entry into a ruthless, invisible war fought hundreds of feet above the city streets. When cash is readily available to an entire peer group, it loses its effectiveness as a status symbol. The ultra-wealthy are forced to find a new metric for dominance, leading them to chase the one thing they cannot endlessly manufacture: absolute vertical elevation. Looking at this 19th century photograph of a wooden rooftop, it is clear that the summit was not always a prize. 150 years ago, the roof was the least desirable space in a building, reserved for water towers, soot, and noisy machinery. Today, that dynamic is reversed by a market defined by artificial scarcity. A building can have hundreds of units, but it only has one true summit. That mathematical limit turns luxury real estate into a zero-sum game, where one person's view requires another person's obstruction. Consider a billionaire who secures a glass-walled penthouse for $50 million. For a few years, they own the horizon. Then, a rival developer constructs a tower on the adjacent lot that stands exactly 10 feet higher, effectively reclaiming the sky and rendering the original investment obsolete. In this environment, the penthouse is an architectural weapon of status. Because the resource is finite, every new floor added to the skyline becomes a direct point of conflict between neighbors. The first tactic in this high-altitude warfare is total secrecy. Property records for the world's most expensive penthouses rarely list a human name on the deed. To hide a buyer's identity, assets are funneled through a nested maze of shell companies. These entities execute the purchase, keeping the true owner invisible. This shadow network shields assets from liability and, importantly, hides the buyer's position from rival billionaires. For the ultra-elite, the physical square footage is only part of the value. True luxury is the power to exist entirely outside of public visibility. While financial secrets provide a shield, the physical war is fought over air rights, the invisible, regulated volume of empty sky directly above a property. Developers can purchase this empty sky from neighbors, allowing their tower to grow much taller than normal zoning allows. Developers use this mechanism to execute backdoor deals, buying up the air around a rival's property. By controlling that space, they can legally block the target building from ever expanding or protecting its current views. These acquired rights are often used to build structures specifically designed to sabotage a neighbor. A developer might position a massive concrete mechanical floor to sit directly in front of a rival's multi-million-dollar windows. Look at these workers balancing on a high-altitude steel beam during the early 20th century. It took immense physical risk to build these vertical cities. Today, that struggle has moved from the steel itself to the legal battle over the empty space surrounding it. The sky is now a partitioned legal grid where the wealthy weaponize invisible borders to outmaneuver one another. This competition has produced the super-tall pencil tower. As seen in this photo, these buildings are impossibly slender, designed to claim the highest absolute vantage point rather than provide practical housing. Engineering a tower on such a small footprint requires specialized dampening systems and high-strength materials. These costs are justified by the singular goal of standing just a few feet higher than the building next door. Developers even use the sun as a weapon. Through a tactic called shadow casting, they calculate the exact path of the sun to ensure their tower plunges a rival's penthouse into darkness for most of the afternoon. This vertical arms race has rewritten the city's silhouette. Looking at the skyline today, you see dozens of these competing vanity projects, each one an aggressive attempt to overshadow the last. From the street, looking up at these massive facades, the towers seem like monuments of stability. But the reality for those at the top is completely disconnected from the millions of people living in their shadows. The modern super-tall skyline is a physical manifestation of elite spite, built to plant a flag of dominance over the horizon. Looking at these illuminated towers at night, it becomes clear that the penthouse has become a fortress. It is designed to isolate the elite from the society functioning below them. However, this creates a psychological paradox. The higher a billionaire builds to escape the masses, the more vulnerable they become to the cutthroat rivals directly adjacent to them in the sky. This architecture creates a one-way mirror effect. It gives the ultra-wealthy the power to observe the world while remaining physically and legally invisible. By fighting so ruthlessly to isolate themselves at the top, the elite merely trap themselves. They end up in a paranoid, never-ending war of their own making, where every new crane on the horizon is a potential threat to their dominance. If you want to see how these hidden systems shape the world we live in, consider subscribing. We dive into the quiet power struggles and secrets that often go unnoticed.